We're here today with two wonderful ladies, Barbara Hamm and Holly Aldrich. So I would like I'd like you to introduce yourselves to us, if you would like, in a brief,
Sure.
so we can get to know who you are.
I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I've been working in the field of psychological trauma for 25 plus years, mostly with in a hospital setting in Cambridge, Massachusetts, called the Cambridge Health Alliance, and the program is the Victims of Violence program. And I've worked in a variety of different capacities there. The past decade as a director of the program, and it provides a range of services to victims, both those who've experienced acute traumas and those who've been chronically traumatized over time. And a special interest of mine has been working with political violence and the impact of political violence.
Thank you.
And I'm Holly Aldrich. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I am also part of the Victims of Violence program at Cambridge Health Alliance, which is an affiliate of Harvard Medical School. And I'm currently, for the last 15 years, I've been the director of the Center for Homicide Bereavement, working with family members who have lost loved ones to violent death. And in that capacity have worked with individuals and families, and also with communities who have experienced ongoing violence and traumatization. And prior to that, I was the director of the Community Crisis Response Team, which again worked out in the community with communities and community groups that were traumatized.
We at the Seed Foundation, we found that working with you and the knowledge that you're bringing will really help us shape something that hopefully will have a very long lasting impact on the Kurdish society and the Kurdistani society to help us recover from everything that we had seen. I would actually like to start by asking you what trauma is, or how can we have trauma explained for people?
You want to take that?
I think probably the simplest way to think about trauma is when someone has an experience that is overwhelming and painful for them, and at least temporarily overwhelms their capacity to cope and to function in their usual ways. So I think the idea of trauma, it's sort of on a continuum. There are smaller traumas and there are life-altering traumas.
Okay. Just to add to that, we can't identify what's a trauma for another person. That's an individually experienced event. So something might occur to you that you're quite able to manage. The same event might occur to me and it really becomes traumatic. So it's important for us not to identify traumatic experiences for another person. Let them tell you what's traumatic.
So this is your second visit to Kurdistan, and I think you've had the chance to go around a little bit and meet with different people and meet different folks here. What do you think the kind of traumas, or what have you heard the kind of traumas that people here are talking about? I know you said we cannot identify, but some of these things that...
We've heard many.
Yes, I'm sure you have. But I mean, what kind of things that maybe it could be an experience or a life-altering experience for them that sometimes the person might not realize themselves?
I think we've just heard layers and layers of trauma. We've heard about the traumas from the Anfal and the horrible acts of atrocity that occurred then that still resonate with people today. And then the more recent ones of the attacks by ISIS and the horrific, they're unspeakable acts of atrocity and dehumanization, attempts to wipe out an entire population and destroy the very fabric of existence and meaning-making, which targeted violence does. Genocide is about destroying a population and everything that makes meaning, the social fabric. And then there are all the acts of violence that occur within that I don't know if we want to name each one.
So
Right.
we don't have to name them.
And I think too, the trauma, the experiences of being uprooted and losing your home and losing your social connections and what's familiar in life, what's familiar to you as a person, what's familiar to your family. So I think, and the trauma of people you love and care about and seeing them hurt and seeing them suffer or not knowing where they are. So I think it's, as Barbara said, it's multiple traumas, and especially in a region that has had so much exposure to violence and to loss. There is the sort of generational trauma that's passed down from from parents to children to their children. So it's an accumulation as well. And for a lot of people that we've spoken to here, it's not that these painful experiences have stopped. They continue, and if not to someone directly, to people they care about. And so that's very different when it's sort of been a chronic, ongoing experience as opposed to something that happened, stopped, and then it was safe and stable.
Well,
could I just add
sure,
one more
of course,
thing?
of course.
I don't want to lose track of the traumas that happen in every society. The traumas that happen in a home, domestic violence, sexual abuse, an attack on the street, a robbery, a traumatic violent death that occurs.
Car accidents.
Car accident.
Right.
These things happen. They're just part of life, and they happen, and they're traumatic. And those happen on top of everything else that we've described.
Right.
So just sometimes those get lost when they're the big
Right.
traumas that people are focusing on.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.